With God of War Ragnarok out now, a lot of questions and mysteries that were left behind by the 2018 game have been solved. One of them was the character of Jormungandr, who played a key role in the game as well as the Norse saga. His timeline is so messed up in the game that players can't seem to wrap their head around the identity of the real-world serpent. This video has it all figured out though, but before we go on any further, we want you to be aware of spoilers that are about to pop up. So if you haven't played the game yet, finish it and then come back. And here's the sauce. Jormungandr's character as the World Serpent was introduced in God of War 2018. His first encounter with Kratos and Atreus occurred at the Lake of Nine. He attempted communicating with Kratos and Atreus, but they couldn't understand him. Then, later in the game, Freya tells the story of the World Serpent emerging suddenly in the Lake of Nine. It was through Mimir that players got to know what caused Jormungandr to appear in the lake. Their battle was so furious that everyone in the Nine Realms could sense both their power and might at one point, is what Mimir said. He even claimed that the Ragnarok prophecy depicts Jormungandr and Thor battling once more. During the battle, Thor will deal a devastating blow on Jormungandr, shattering Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life. As a result, Jormungandr will be sent back in time to that before his birth. This explains why he emerged strangely at the Lake of Nine. In mythology, Jormungandr is said to emerge from the sea and rush toward Asgard with Loki's armies, causing the planet to flood and killing many, leaving just a few survivors to repopulate after Ragnarok. However, prior to Ragnarok, and similar to the game, Jormungandr confronts Thor several times, with each combat ending in a stalemate. Throughout the game, Kratos and Atreus repeatedly blow a horn to summon the snake for aid, and he helps them in their journey in against Baldur. However, there is one strange time when the horn is blown and Jormungandr is called while Kratos and Atreus are not there. This occurs after Atreus becomes ill, prompting Kratos to wield the Blades of Chaos and travel into Helheim, and the identity of the person who blew the horn is never revealed. This mystery gave rise to many theories, and players expected God of War Ragnarok to solve it. But it didn't, and it still remains a mystery. Damn you, Santa Monica! But Ragnarok did tell us about the origins of this fan-favorite ally. Atreus learns about the location of the last remaining giants from the World Serpent, Jormungandr, very early on in the game. This is known as Iron Wood, and it is here that Atreus meets Angrboda, another giant who has been waiting for Loki's or Atreus's arrival for a long time. The two become friends, which leads to the duo discovering that Angrboda's grandmother, Grilla, is kidnapping animals in Iron Wood in order to take their souls. Atreus, being the animal lover that he is, goes out to stop her and save a newly kidnapped wolf. Before arriving at Grilla's house, Angrboda hands Atreus a bag of marbles, saying that they contain the souls of the giants and that they did not all die out as he had been led to believe in the last game. When the couple enters Grilla's residence, they come into contact with one of these soulless animals, a giant snake. Despite Angrboda's protests, Atreus chooses to steal one of the giant's marbles and infuse the soul of the snake with it. This wakes the snake, which slithers away, leaving Atreus puzzled and second-guessing himself since he believes he has done something wrong and should not be trusted with the giant's souls. So where does the snake go in the world? Angrboda reveals during mid-game that the snake continues to survive in Ironwood, growing at an insane rate. She notices that the snake has grown up and is still growing since their last meeting. Ragnarok, Asgard's destruction, ultimately arrives later in the game, and so the final battle begins. With all of the realms teaming together, they launch their assault on Asgard, aiming to destroy Odin's oppression. We see the world snake, Jormungandr, once again as he joins the ultimate battle, battling head-to-head with Thor as prophesied. However, upon looking at Jormungandr, you and the other characters notice that he looks very different. He doesn't appear to be as large or as aged. This is due to the fact that the serpent Atreus spared was a younger version of Jormungandr. But how exactly? Freya recounts to Kratos and Atreus in God of War 2018 that the world serpent arrived in the Lake of the Nine one day, causing Thor to battle it and resulting in a stalemate. The giant then chose to sleep beneath the lake and continued to grow. It got so large that Freya remarks that its entire body could wrap around all of Midgard. In Ragnarok, Thor smacks Jormungandr so hard that he vanishes from the battlefield, confusing everyone. The fact is that this younger form of Jormungandr is transported back in time to await for the arrival of Atreus, sparking the events of God of War 2018. This implies that Jormungandr is trapped in a temporal loop. But there is no loop. The Jormungandr, who is transported back in time, is witnessing his future and will never time travel again. This means that during the events of God of War Ragnarok, there are not one, but two world serpents in the current period. Although you encounter the original 2018 Jormungandr earlier in the game, this version of Jormungandr is still in Midgard throughout the final fight, lounging out and doing whatever world serpents do in their spare time. He leads Atreus to Ironwood in order for him to be born and eventually for that younger version of himself to be transported back in time. He does not participate in the last fight since it is not what happened before, and interfering may result in an entirely different outcome. This is soon confirmed after traveling with Freya post-game in Midgard, when she remarks on how there is evidence of Jormungandr still being present, despite his disappearance after the final battle. Mimir responds by declaring that the tales were real, and that Thor sent him back in time while the fully grown Jormungandr was still around. Kratos claims that Jormungandr indicated to him that Atreus appeared familiar when they first met in God of War 2018, referring to their first meeting in God of War Ragnarok. It's quite cool to see this theory come full circle, but what's more fascinating is that it might explain a lot of other things in God of War because the world serpent was sent back before Atreus was even born, and potentially before Kratos arrived in Midgard. That suggests he might be the reason the Jotnar, or giants, have so much knowledge of the past and future, since it's not possible that he imparted it to them when they were roaming Midgard. You also have to remember that the myth of him fighting Thor during Ragnarok had to start somewhere, and with him in the past, it was probably a story he told to his fellow giants, possibly with Faye, Kratos' wife. So although Jormungandr isn't Loki's biological son like in the mythology, he is the reason Jormungandr and Fenrir as a giant are born. Were you satisfied with these origin stories? Let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time. Till then, stay mythically mad.